All right, and we are live. This is Basketbros, another Sunday evening. I am your host, Denzel Snipes, and I've got the crew with me. We got a loaded show. We're going to be dipping a little bit. I don't know if you all read the advertisement. We're going to be dipping a little bit into some throwback, but we're also going to dip into a little bit of current as well. But before we get started, just wanted to let you all know that you can tune in via Sideline Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, DBTV, and Stream TV. To those of you all who may kind of dip out before the episode is over with, no worries. We have replays on Stream TV. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking a replay of this one is probably going to be Tuesday night or something like that. But we've got material content all week long. We're on a new 24/7 channel. It's going to be amazing. That would be Stream TV. Also, hit that like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube, because we also have a plethora of other shows as well. Let's go ahead and get the crew in here. And coming all the way from by way of Quincy, Illinois, he resides in Atlanta and has been for the last, I think, 15 years. Jacob Christner, come on in, buddy.
18. And I work just as much as Stephen A. Smith, only without the $12 million with the Learjet.
Hey, there you go. And coming in also by way of Connecticut, he resides in Charlotte. DJ Willie V. Will Vogel, come on in. What's going on, man?
Same old. Waiting in between games for an NBA final stinks. I just want to see the Nuggets raise a trophy and finally be happy.
Yeah, understand. And coming on in here, he is the captain of the South Florida Tribune Enterprise, along with his co-captain and co-pilot, Candy Ebling, the one, the only. He is the mouth of the North, not the mouth of the South, the mouth of the North, the Motor City Mad Mouth of the North. Come on in. BDM Scotty!
I don't remember that part. I like the mouth of the North. I haven't heard that one before.
No. Candy is like Vera from Cheers. We never see her, but she's big time everything.
Yeah, well, I have news for you. Let me throw a teaser out there. She'll be on one or two shows this week.
I see. I understand that.
Well, let me tell you the one thing I'll say about Candy, though, what she does behind the scenes, to me, is ridiculously incredible. I wouldn't be able to do anything. So, but yeah, no, it's good to be on here. And also launched a new show today called The Professor and the Pupils. So, excuse me. No, thank you. But I like to beam me up, Scotty. Yeah, it was a good show with Spoke and Jeremy B, and I. We had a pretty good time today, and that'll be on Sundays in the morning, not on Father's Day, but going forward. We had a pretty good first act, so this thing will be in one of those type of shows. Well, we're going to focus on big headlines, but we're going to talk about the smaller sports that don't get publicity and get guests.
So I know we're not talking about next week's show, but I feel like we should do a Father's Day, like father and son family related show for next Sunday.
Well, I won't catch that one, so you better get me pre-recorded if you want to hear mine. So, or you can take my answers and I'll give them to you tonight. Then you can clip them later on. Mm-hmm. And my dad and I combined for a 21-0 season, along with other people. And I was a catcher back in I believe it was 73. So we won the city championship. So
back when he was walking his T-Rex and T-Rex during the morning before he went to work.
Well, let me tell you, I was a catcher, and I'll tell you, I definitely needed a cup in the worst way with the beating I took behind the plate. The beating that I took behind the plate, I hate to tell you this, the umpires didn't like me because I threw them out their game because I was in their ear, and I used to manipulate the hitter really badly.
You have to as a catcher.
Oh, yeah, you do. Well, and not only that, I used to take a lot of mound visits just to throw them off. So even though I was a 10-year-old tyke, I knew all the mind games being a catcher. So it was fun. So that's my father and son moment. You can take this clip and save it for next week.
I love it. No, yes. I love that.
Hey, Scott, did you ever used to put like a towel or some kind of padding inside of the catcher glove? I hear some catchers have to do that because of the speed of the pitchers, and it like swells up your hand like something mean.
No, here's what happened. My dad owned a sporting goods store back then, so he was able to get me a glove that was heavily padded, so I was good.
Oh, you were good. You were good then.
But the only issue that we had to stock up on, unfortunately, is the cup situation because I kind of needed my fair share of them to survive a year behind the plate.
Yeah.
And I got nailed for more catcher's interferences than you can imagine. Oh, my goodness.
Tyler!
My glove went out there and connected with batters bats, and that really hard. So,
Yeah.
but
I
Actually,
reached out to Tyler being on the guest eventually. He hasn't responded, but Tyler, we would love you.
yeah, absolutely. And Tyler, seeing as you're 6'2", I would expect you more to play first base, not third. But hey, great on you, man.
Right? Right.
No. So do you want Tyler on? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? For all we know, the first baseman may have been 6'4". So I mean,
hey,
I don't
Tyler,
know.
do me a favor. Reach out to me, and maybe I'll bring you on the baseball show. We'll eventually get on there at some point.
He is so busy these days, Scott. It's so hard. He has a kid.
That doesn't man. Well, we're all busy. Come on, my man. We're all busy. You're busy. Jacob's busy. Denzel's busy. I'm busy. I don't know. We're all busy.
Tyler's the only
Tyler,
one of us with a 1-year-old, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have those. I got 2 cats, so I'll give you that much if he's got a busy.
And they're not 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But hey,
Actually, my cat's approaching 9 and 8.
Wow.
yeah. Well, before we, and actually, you know what? No, this is just a part of the topic. This is kind of a late edition, but we would be remiss if we did not bring up the fact that the NBA Finals is going on Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh wait, no, that's at 7:30 Central. Denver's favorite by 9. Game 5. Around the horn. What are your predictions for Game 5? Jacob, kick it off.
I said Game 7. I said 7, so I'm going to stick to it, even if I'm wrong or not. But I'll just say the Heat can make a little bit of a comeback and try to get 3-3. Just got to go. But I'll say Heat by 3.
Okay, so Heat by 3. So you've got them making it 3-2. All right,
Yeah.
Will, what about you?
Denver's at home. They're the number 1 seed. I'm sorry, Jimmy Butler. You could drop 50 plus and still lose the game. I got the Nuggets by 7. Joker's going to win a title, and he's going to win Finals MVP.
All right, and lastly, Scott, who you got?
I'm going Denver by 10. I think that it's about time for the Denver Nuggets to take that trophy. You know, the Heat have been noble and fine throughout the playoffs, but this time what you have in Denver is just too unstoppable. It really, really is. And, you know, when the series is over, all I can say is good riddance, Shannon Sharp. Okay, you can go on your next endeavor. I don't have to watch Skip and Shannon on Undisputed, because as much as I needed to change the pace from Stephen Smith, these guys are giving me a bigger migraine, and I'm really at a loss for words about what medication I need after Undisputed. So
I've really liked the play of Aaron Gordon lately.
well, yeah, you always. Well, you know, I've been around championship teams. We can talk about the old 1-2 punch type of guys, but in
He's
reality,
the third horse on that.
right. Well, that's my point. Well, you're reading my mind. When you start to get into your third and fourth options, that's when you know, hey, you have a heck of a team. And you know what? Don't kid yourself. And I mentioned it before on the show, and I'll mention it again. Michael Malone has good basketball roots, going with his dad, who I had an opportunity to work with the Detroit Pistons, Brendan Malone. So, you know, Michael Malone's a heck of a coach, and he'll get a statue out of Denver at the rate he's going. So,
He'll have a statue right next to Elway.
What about you, Dan?
Yeah, like I said, this is where they're going to build his statue, right next to Elway, if not in the middle of the runway at Denver International Airport, because tomorrow night, the coach turns back into a pumpkin. And to those of y'all who don't know what I mean by that, I mean this Cinderella run by the Heat. It's been a great, amazing run. But they ran into a buzzsaw.
yeah.
To keep it real with you, Jamal Murray had a good look in Game 3. And if he hits that, it goes to overtime. Denver probably closes it out. I said Nuggets in 5. I stick to Nuggets in 5. Nuggets in a runaway. Jokic and see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and then we'll move on. Is it's actually been stated, and this is so true, that Jokic is more effective if his stat line was 27, 10, 11 than 41, 4, and 9. Because you've heard me say it a few weeks back. Jokic is the one center in the league that plays the closest to a guard because he can give you 10 dimes. You know,
right.
When he's distributing, that's when he's most dangerous. When he's getting Murray going, when he's getting Gordon going, when he's getting CP going, when he's getting all of them, not CP Chris Paul, but when he's getting everybody else. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, him. Whenever he's getting all those guys clicking on all cylinders, that's when Jokic is most dangerous. I've got Denver. Let's see, you got Denver by 10. I've got him by 21 points.
I'm sorry. Let me point out something interesting about Denver sports. when the Nuggets pull this one off, they're going to have 2 great years in a row since the Avalanche ended up winning a year ago. Now the Nuggets. So you talk about 2 teams in that same building with a few more extra banners hanging from the roof. How about that? The Avalanche did well last year, and now obviously the Nuggets. And ironically, the Avalanche defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning, and now the Nuggets are about to beat a Florida team as the Miami Heat. So there's a little bit of trivia there.
I've got a real fast question for the panel. I know we have a bunch of other topics. Just real quick. When it's all said and done, when Jokic is retired, who do you retire your number of? Did we already do this? I can't remember. Do you give it a Melo?
I think I know what you're getting, but it's do you
Jokic?
try Jokic or Melo?
Melo. Who do you give the
Jokic.
number 15 retirement
Jokic.
to? I give it a Jokic.
Jokic, because he actually would have won a title.
And because Anthony left in a bad way.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Will, you just said it right there. I was thinking the same thing.
By the way, Denzel, when you were bringing up Elway's, bringing up the statue that would be over at the airport. See, Jokic will be on the side where everybody can see it. Elway's going to put in the middle so you can run it over, especially after his own show.
There you go.
Wait a minute. You can't disrespect. No, Jacob. You don't disrespect John Elway.
No. You don't
Runway. What are you, nuts?
You don't disrespect the player. You disrespect the owner and the vice president.
All right, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of a story on Elway. You love listening to my stories, and I got a good one. The first Super Bowl I covered was Super Bowl 33. Elway wins the MVP. I go down where he's done, and I was able to get a question in the day after I asked John Elway. Nobody even went ahead and asked him, "Hey, John, how does it feel now that you're retiring here that you made probably arguably the best decision you ever made by not wanting to go to the Baltimore Colts and hold your ground to go to the Denver Broncos?" And you know what? I got to tell you, if body language and voice expressions mean, he loved that question because nobody even asked it.
Yeah. I would have asked the same question as you.
Yeah, but think about it, Will. Okay, all those reporters, and I hit John with that one, and a lot of my friends and family back then actually heard me and said, "Boy, that was a good question."
Yeah, I would have said the same thing because the Baltimore Colts were corrupt.
Yeah,
and all he was a drunk anyways, and moved the team in the middle of the night. He wasn't no part of them. But the reality is John Elway orchestrated that trade, and it turned out other players would subsequently do it in later years. And how did it work out? Got a couple Super Bowls while in there 5 years, and of course he was inducted in the Hall of Fame the same year as Barry Sanders. So it's a great story. I like to bring it up when the situation presents. It's a good year for Denver.
And not to mention that by acquiring Peyton Manning and proving the Colts wrong, that Manning still had it, and then winning a Super Bowl, that makes twice that he stuck it to the Colts franchise.
Great point.
With that being said, I think we got another comment here. Here we go. I knew it. There was a taller guy on the team.
Yeah, no worries, Tyler. Father's Day is all yours, man.
Yeah, that's his first Father's
Tyler
Day.
has to make sure to ask the boss. Tyler has to make sure to ask the boss.
Yeah. Well, he's probably gonna want that day off for his daughter, so you can't fault him for that. But most definitely, he'll come on the show soon and everything. But let's get on to our Basketbros legend, and that is shooting guard Ray Allen, who was a part of the famed 1996 draft class that saw Steve Nash, Antoine Walker, and some guy named Kobe Bean Bryant. And Marbury came out of that draft too. When he came out of UConn, where he played from 93 to 96, he was around 5th pick overall. He played with the Milwaukee Bucks, Seattle Supersonics, Boston Celtics, and the Miami Heat. He's a 2-time NBA champion. He was with the famed Big Three out there in Boston. And this is what a lot of people tended to overlook was before there was a famed Big Three in Miami, who he ironically played alongside, there was a Big Three in Boston. But, of course, the one in Miami got the most heat, no pun intended. He was a 10-time NBA All-Star, an All-NBA second team, All-NBA third team. He won a Sportsmanship Award in 2003. He won a 3-point contest champion in 2001. He should have won one of those. He had all-rookie second team in 1997. He's on the 75th anniversary team UPI Player of the Year in 96. In college, he was a consensus first-team All-American, Big East Player of the Year, two-time first-team All-Big East, USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year, and South Carolina Mr. Basketball, as well as UConn Huskies, number 34, retired. His career averages 18.9 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists per game. And on the national team, he won gold in Sydney in 2000, as well as in the FIBA's American Championships. He won gold in 03 San Juan, and in Summer Universiade, he won in Fukuoka, I think Japan, in 1995. He won gold as well. So before there was a number 30 on the Golden State Warriors, this man was regarded the greatest shooter of all time. You know, now he had more of the traditional jump shot, whereas Curry's just kind of he can just kind of pop it out of nowhere and do one of these and they'll go in. But you talk about a man who has been a staple, and he has what a lot of people would be considered the greatest NBA Finals moment in history, when he literally hit the three that saved the series, sent the game to overtime. They win Game 6 and then win Game 7. This was the 2013 NBA Finals. And in which I still say the biggest mistake that Popovich ever made was taking Tim Duncan out in the final minute. Then that shot doesn't happen, but whatever. But yeah, hell of a basketball player. Definitely will be in the Hall of Fame someday. Want to swing it over to Jacob. Your thoughts on Ray Allen?
Every time I think about that shot that that basically saved that game for him or saved that series for him, I think of all those morons, emotional nitwit fans who left. And then they tried to push themselves back into the game, which the guards would not let them. And I'm like, this is why you're an emotional nitwit. This is why you're an emotional nitwit in life. This is why you're an emotional nitwit in everything you do. It's like you don't give up on anything. You missed a great moment because you just didn't think. That's what I get on fans for. But here's another thing with Ray Allen. He and Robert Horry are the same in one big aspect. They were both driving. They were both players that drove the lane. They were both, dunkers and loved to get to the lane. Then all of a sudden they became shooters. Really, really good shooters. Different position, different game. But that was because when they both were gotten through, and you get Robert Horry and everything, he drove the basket too. He became Big Shot Bob later. Ray Allen became a big time shooter later. These were drive guys. You know what I'm saying? These were drive guys. And it's like, if you think about guys like Ron Harper, who completely changed his game up.
Agreed.
Yeah. Ron Harper. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just saying, you get Ron Harper. He changed his game up. There were just a lot of players in that era who just found a way to be able to change their game up. Maybe it's the knees. Maybe it's the fact that they've lost a step to get in there. Maybe they've done that kind of stuff, but they knew by themselves they needed to become shooters. Ray Allen was one of those and became one of the greatest shooters of all time. And you got to give him those flowers. So,
question for you. Scott's power went out. Okay, I think he's gonna.
I know. What's the question for me?
So, quick question: it's 2010 or 2011, and Derrick Rose tears his ACL. Should he have become a primary shooter then?
Oh, you talk about D Rose or
Derrick Rose?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. It's like, the thing about Rose, see, that whole situation, it's like they could have had titles in Chicago from that. And it was like, and there are fans that blame Thibodeau having him in that fourth quarter in that final, and then he blew his knee out. And they had that blame for something like that. But then you aim to go blame him. I mean, and that's a terrible thing that happened. It was bad luck. But then you do that, and then you aim for, and then guess what? You wanted Tibbs to go because of that. Then you get Fred Hoiberg and Boylan, which are two of the worst coaches we've ever seen. Oh, wow. So you gotta think a little bit instead of using your emotions.
Right, absolutely. And we got a Bulls fan in the comments, so I'll lobby this to you, Mr. Ingram, and that is, should Derrick Rose have become a primary shooter after he tore his ACL? Feel free to answer in the comments. And we'll swing it over to Will, and actually here's Scott rejoining us. Here we go. Everything okay?
He's at the lake.
I'm here.
He's here. Okay.
Here, okay. Cool.
Well, Will, hey, your thoughts on Ray Allen, man?
Duds, you didn't
I'm
even
here.
call him by his God-given name.
Jesus
Jesus
Shuttlesworth.
Shuttlesworth.
Yep.
Jesus Shuttlesworth, aka Walter Ray Allen. Man, the guy was so good. Of course, we have Steph Curry, and I give the bias to Steph Curry. He's number one. He's from Charlotte. Number two, I met him as a kid. But I love Ray Allen. I grew up watching Ray Allen. Second best three-point shooter of all time. Most likely, everyone thinks that too. He played varsity basketball at age 15. Imagine being on the varsity team at age 15.
Hmm.
You're not even a high schooler yet. Basically, not a high schooler yet. He was also drafted by the Timberwolves on draft night, but he was traded to the Bucks. He has a lot of Supersonics, Celtics, Bucks, regular season playoff NBA Finals records, a lot of records throughout those. Um, in honor of Jacob, I read that he broke the most consecutive free throws in a game by the Larry Bird in all-time history for the Celtics. He
Oh,
had
73.
72.
Yeah,
Larry
it was
Bird had
originally 73.
71.
Yeah.
What?
71, you're right. 71,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know what else he is? He's not just an athlete. He's an actor. He's been in
Yes.
numerous roles. But yeah, I love Ray Allen. I loved him on the Supersonics. Loved him on the Bucks. Especially loved him on Boston because he added that piece where Paul Pierce, yeah, he can shoot. He can shoot from anywhere. Paul Pierce 3, he can do the 2, and then you got KG who is primarily outside, and then you got the 3-point shooter in Ray Allen. But yeah, Ray Allen was a special player. He goes to a lot of games. He was there when Curry broke the record
Yeah.
for his 3-pointers, and I love when athletes go to other athletes games and you're like, oh, you're on the verge of breaking my record. I'll go. That's what you call sportsmanship
Yeah.
and class act. And I think Ray Allen. There's a lot of great role players in history. Don't get me wrong. There's Pippen. There's there's a lot of great role players in the NBA history. He's definitely in my top 10. Um, overall, yeah, and also I chose Ray Allen because just like the guy was just so smooth with his shot. Like you would it looked like whenever he shot it. I don't know if it's just me. I want your guys' opinion. I just think it never touched the rim. It just went swish, swish.
Yeah.
And to follow up on that Derrick Rose question, do I think he should have turned to a jump shot? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because a lot of players like Jacob 100% killed it with saying this. And I said, yes, Jacob's so right. Guys
Yeah.
get better later in their game. They can develop a shot. Like Jacob said, there's a lot of guys who change their game from driving into the lane and they're like, oh man, I'm going to get killed in here if I just keep doing this. I'm going to tweak an ankle. I'm going to tweak a hamstring. I'm going to tear an ACL. I'm going to tear something to, oh, I'm going to become a spot up shooter. And you know what? You know who else did that? And he's one of my favorite players of all time. Vince Carter developed
Yes.
an outside shot
Hmm.
later in his career. His last few years, he developed a great outside shot. Everyone used to be like, oh, he's known for dunking. He can't just do anything besides drive the rim or dunk and layup. If you look at his last few years, and we've talked about him, he actually had a really good jump shot. And I think if you can add a jump shot to your game before it's too late, where before your retirement, you're expanding your career at least 3 to 5 more years,
Yeah.
a
And
few
that's what
more
Carter did.
years. Because if you keep driving, you're going to hurt something and you could potentially do something that makes you like never be able to play basketball ever again. There's that worst case scenario. So
Hmm.
having a jump shot later on, like a 3-point shot, does not hurt you. It just makes you a more versatile player. It
Yeah.
doesn't show that you could just go inside. It means you can go outside. It makes you an all-around better player. And
Yeah.
that's what Ray Allen was.
Absolutely, man. Great commentary. And speaking of
I'm out of
your
breath.
last
Sorry,
Hey,
guys.
bit of the,
Scott, do you see dead people?
oh,
I'll
all
be
right.
back. Hey, I'll be right back. I need a water. I'm at
You
a
bet. I bet.
And actually, in response to the last part of Will's commentary, and to my question, here's Tyler. So Tyler agrees he should have developed a jumper, kind of like the one he
No.
had like in Minnesota.
The tear down his eyes should have been getting rid of Thibodeau and being for Boylan and Hoiberg.
Probably so. Yeah. Hey Scott, are you with us?
Can we get a promotion?
Think you
Smart
still
water.
smart water.
I wish.
I think Scott's still
You
working
there,
on.
Scott?
Beat me up, Scotty.
I think he's still working on something here.
I don't hear him.
Well, we
No,
got
he sees dead people.
So, Dennis, what do you think about players developing shots at the end of the career? I bet you agree 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially whenever you suffer a torn ACL, because depending upon when you recover from it, you might not drive the same. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like whenever that running back tears an ACL and they lose a step, unless of course you're Adrian Peterson, then you come back and rush for almost for over 2,000 yards and win MVP. Not everyone's built like him, but should you develop a jumper? Absolutely. If you don't have one already.
To follow up on that real quick, I didn't ask Jacob this. Who do you think was the best to do that from inside game to be like, oh man, I need to develop an outside shot to expand my game?
All right, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
All right,
we can hear you. Hang on, before I answer that, I'll before I get to that, Will, I'm gonna get to Scott. He's back with us.
No worries.
Your thoughts on Ray Allen?
I think he's an all-around player. I was glad that he play to the 90s with the Celtics and played Miami, but to me, he's a Milwaukee Buck and a guy that went out there and played a large part in the stuff is all bonus.
Okay. You kind of coming in and out there. Are you going off of Wi-Fi, or are you on your phone?
Yeah, he's on his phone, I think.
You might be on his phone, yeah. As far as wants to develop a jumper later, I would say Kobe, but in fact, yeah, I'm gonna say Kobe. Well, he came in the league with one. I'll say it got better through the years, But yeah, I mean, you could say Kobe Bryant, because I remember even highlight reel Kobe, 8 Kobe, like he had a jumper. I just thought he had more. Yeah, MJ also, exactly, I just thought he had more of one when he put on 24.
Oh yeah, easily. He turned into a new beast when he went from 8 to 24. Kobe was maturing like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to get on to the next one, guys.
Yeah,
we do, because we're about halfway through the show. Let me see here. We good. All right, so the next topic. Have the 76ers ended trust the process?
Oh, I'm so ready.
So with this one right here, and Will, this was your suggestion. I'll actually let you go first.
No, that was Jacob.
Was it? Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I'll take credit, Jacob. Thank you.
But I mean, it's been like this, and before I pass it on here, it had been like this. They drafted Markelle Fultz in, what was it, 2016. That didn't work out. He was out of Philly in 3 years. They drafted Ben Simmons. And I mean, we'll actually touch on that a little bit later on in the last topic. But I mean, Embiid won most valuable player, even though it's questionable among fans considering how Jokic is playing and how he did play all season long. But it's still something, They tried it out with James Harden. Hadn't exactly worked out the way that they wanted. He's rumored to head back to Houston. But I'll start it off with Jacob, since it's actually, you know what? We'll start off with Will. Will, since you're chomping at the bit to get at this. Have the Sixers ended trust the process? And if they did, what's next?
Philly fans won't let this go, even though I think it needs to end. Because, number one, how long have we said trust the process? Oh, I don't know. Many, 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 many years.
About a decade now.
You want to know something funny about the process? The process era hasn't won a playoff series versus a top 4 seed since Embiid was drafted. That is like almost 10 years. 10 years, and you're telling us, trust the process, trust the process. We have to be patient. Us Phillies fans, and be us Philly fans saying to the other NBA fans, be patient. We're going to get there. We're going to win the championship. Guys, it's been 10 years. You haven't won a playoff series versus a top 4 seed since the process era started. So, yes, it needs to go away. Just deal with the fact that you are not that great. Embiid's a great player, don't get me wrong. I think Embiid's a fun player to watch, a great, tough player. But the process thing is a joke. You have not made a finals in so long, and you haven't reached that peak of the mountain where you're like, yes, we have finished it, we're done. So no, the process is partially, in my eyes, it just needs to be dead and say, hey, we accept our failures. We lost in this round, instead of being like, oh, just wait till next year, we're gonna win a ring, blah blah blah. Oh, blah blah blah. Oh, we're gonna make the conference finals, blah blah blah. Trust the process, just give us time. Guys, it's been way too long. Just accept your failures. Dude, most teams accept their failures after a closeout game or whatever, and they lose, and they're like, okay, we'll rebound next year. We're going to try harder. When the Sixers fans are like, oh, just wait next year or the year after, they're way. And I'm an optimist. I always look in the best in things. They're way too cautiously optimistic about things, and it drives me insane. So I think the whole process subject is just it's just one word to say it really. I know I said it a lot. Sixers fans are delusional. I mean delusional with this process thing. Saying year after year, oh, we're gonna make the finals, we're gonna stop. Just accept your failures and move on and say, okay, we stink. We need to do some pieces. And we'll be back when we're good enough. Just accept your failures, guys. Come on.
Well,
All right.
you know,
All right. Well,
consider
you know what? I'm back. So enjoy it while we have it because we have a power outage.
Yeah, can you tell us a ghost story?
Yeah.
It's like,
is it about his
tonight on
T-Rex?
Basketbros? Did you guys catch my comments on
Rose?
Ray
Not
Allen?
Rose, on Ray Allen. No, you were coming in and out, but real quick, you can go ahead.
Okay, let me give you the quick synopsis real quick, okay? I thought he had great work out in Milwaukee. Undoubtedly, winning a championship to me in Boston more or less defined his legacy, and that he was able to get another one in Miami, more power to him. So I have the utmost respect for Ray Allen coming from the University of Connecticut. To me, is another feather in his cap. They've always produced top caliber players. So with that said, okay, let me go ahead, and if you want me to chime in on the 76ers one, trust the process. Trusting the process means you haven't won any. You haven't gotten past the second round. Okay, and how many of these other players that they had that they drafted lottery picks are still around outside of Joel Embiid? You know, I mean, the guy that was the fall guy for it, wasn't it? Remember the coach that preceded Brett Brown?
Brett
Yeah,
Brown, yep.
Brett Brown.
Yeah, he's the one who took the fall for all of it. I thought he did a heck of a job. I'm surprised he hadn't been rehired in the league yet. That's the biggest mystery outside of Mark Jackson not getting rehired. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really trust the process because
Brown's
how do you
an
trust
assistant somewhere, isn't he? I swear he is.
Yeah, but how do you trust the process when you can't get past the second round and the only guy you have from all that tanking is Joel Embiid? Right?
Exactly what I'm saying, Scott.
Yeah, what do you have to show for it? Joel Embiid and all these top prospects, Markel Fultz, got shipped to what? Orlando, right?
Yep.
And, what's that?
Not to mention, they chose to keep Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Bad move.
The biggest mistake they've made in this whole thing was letting Butler walk.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
So there you go. So with all that said, do you really trust the process?
Well, I will say this much. If it wasn't for one of the luckiest game winners I had ever seen in a playoff game, the Sixers probably win the East that year.
Oh, you mean the Raptors?
All right, but you know what, Denz? You're making the biggest mistake in journalism, okay? You know what that is?
What's that?
If.
Oh, no, I know. I get it.
No, I'm just saying. We're in quotations, trust the process, and all we do is they get past the second round. Doc Rivers goes, Rhett Brown. Okay, all these guys are being heavily counted on. Now, Nick Nurse, I think, was a great hire for him. We'll see whether or not that can. Here's another one for you: salvage the process.
Okay.
Think about it. Good
Yeah.
point.
Well,
Salvage the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, though. This is the reason I came up with this question. Okay, Denzel, you heard me the year, and you know me. You know that I admit everything. You know I do. I said that all that kind of stuff. Like right on this thing, the year of 2021, I said I just looked at that lineup. I liked Maxey. I liked Niang. I liked Embiid. I liked that little lineup. You know what I'm saying? Just liked how they were running. I liked how Doc did things. Did I not say I thought the 76ers would win it all? Then Harden. And then I dropped that sucker so fast. I dropped that sucker so fast your head would spin. And that pissed off Tatum.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it's over. It's all over. And guess what? Lost in the second round. But it's like, and then there was a blame on Doc, of course, but that goes what it says. I mean, that goes without saying. But here's the thing. The reason I said have the 76ers had to trust the process is because I was looking at an article that was saying that we're trying to get Harden back. And this is what I'm saying. You are literally saying that you are going for the entertainment factor and the ISO play of a guy who will never, ever, ever do anything to improve himself for the playoffs.
He's holding that team back one.
Yeah. He will never dive on a floor, never give that extra effort, never give anything like that. You're going for the entertainment value of his step backs and his dribble in between. You're doing that. When I said have the 76ers end to trust the process, it's because if they haven't ended it, it means they're trying to go after a real sidekick for Embiid.
Right.
Which they really did have with Butler, but we already know what happened there. But I'm saying they would go after a real sidekick for Embiid, a real one. Instead, all that. But they're talking about we want to keep Harden. Where has Harden ever showed, ever, in any team, and anywhere, that he's ever going to give that oomph in those playoffs? You got to remember with the Nets, how 2 for 15 in Game 7 and forced KD to play hero ball, which he almost finished. But it's 48 points. He almost finished, almost 49 for that thing. But it forced him to do that because it was 2 of 15 in Game 7, 0 for 7 for 3.
All right, so let me ask you guys a question, every one of you. Okay, ready? Okay, I'm going to start with Will. I'm going to go right to left. Okay, Jens, you mind if I take this over for a minute or two? All right, so James Harden, and I'll start with Will. Okay, do you think he'll ever win an NBA championship?
No, because he holds teams back. I think he's holding the Sixers back. I'll go real quick, Scott. You got Maxey, who's a great young player, can create his shot, can pass the ball, and then you got Tobias Harris, good 3-and-D player. You got Embiid. No, because he's holding that team hostage from going any further. Because I've seen Harden play in person.
Right.
He's a great ball handler. He can shoot. He can get to the rim. He can make his threes and make his steps backs. Thing that drives me most insane about Harden, insane, he rushes his shots way too much.
Okay.
Guy's never going to win a ring.
Okay, second part of the question, Will, does he ever get in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame?
I think he sneaks in because he's a great shooter. I wouldn't say he's the best shooter of all time. I'd say he's a top 30, maybe 50 shooter. I think he gets in just because his shooting and his volume of shooting and how he can create his own shot and make the step backs, make the threes. So yes, I think he gets in the Hall, but he's not winning a ring anytime soon or at all.
All right, so let me go to you, Jacob. Okay, you're strongly opinion on this. I'll give my opinion last. All right, go ahead. Two-headed question.
The first question. No,
I already know the answer right when he asked it.
The laugh doesn't tell it all. I don't know what does, but go ahead.
No. We already know that part. Second part, absolutely, he goes to the Hall of Fame. He's got 6 60-point games in his career. He's one of the greatest ISO players we've ever seen in our life.
Absolutely.
My issue with Harden is not his game. He's part of the game that we know now.
Right.
My issue is the fact that I come from the Larry Bird era. I want to see someone I want to see that oomph to go win it all. Hey, welcome back. No, but I'm saying I want to see that. I want to see that oomph to win it all. I want to see that dive on the floor, that give, that everything. He is the laziest player in the playoffs I've ever seen in my life.
That's good. Okay. All right, Dens, turn it over to you. Two-part question.
Does he win a championship? If he does, he's riding a coattail to a championship. He's basically doing what Kevin Willis did with the Spurs. But do I see it happening? Maybe if you stick him on the Warriors or something. Who knows?
He'll blow the Warriors' chances too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far, but is he getting the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. I mean, he's got 3 scoring titles, 2 assist titles. He's already on the 75th anniversary team. Shout out to Ray J. Lynn a while back for pointing this out. The 7 greatest shooting seasons in NBA history. Harden owns 2 of them. How does he not get in the Hall of Fame?
No, he's a Hall of Famer. There's no question.
All right, well, here, I'll give you my opinion, which is far different than you guys, except for the first one. No, he won't ever win a championship because he's too selfish to do and looking to get paid the big money and doesn't really care, okay? And I think the second part of the question, if he gets in the Hall of Fame, I think he should get in with an asterisk.
I like that. I
put him in there with an asterisk.
Yeah.
She's sneaking behind you.
Yeah, there you go.
I
put him in there with, but think about it, guys, for a minute. I put him in there with an asterisk. You know why? There's a disease called for him. He's a cancer everywhere he goes, and he's toxic. I'd rather have my 4-minute grilled cheese sandwich at USF, okay, which, by the way, you need new dentures if you ever got them in a microwave, okay? Those are one of my USF stories back in the day when I didn't know how to cook. And I could have given somebody brain damage with one of those sandwiches. That sandwich was harder than a hammer. Okay, let me tell you, you don't want to know. In a microwave, I guarantee for you cooking people out there, okay, don't ever make a grilled cheese sandwich in a microwave for 4 minutes, or it's going to hurt in a lot of different ways and it'll kill your teeth. But no, I think you should get in the Hall of Fame with an asterisk. To me, we talked about this 1 or 2 weeks ago. I don't think he could never have survived in yesterday's game anyways. We know that.
Now, I will say this much, and I know, we're just keep it in the same context, okay? About being a cancer everywhere you go.
Right.
The same sports writer said the same thing about T.O. getting in the Hall of Fame, and everybody on this panel argues he got in too late.
Yeah.
He did.
But you know what? See, here's the deal with that. I know how the NFL Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Sorry to interrupt, Jacob.
No, you're
the
good.
way the voting works. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. You're good.
Yeah, the way the Hall of Fame works is you got a bunch of sports writers from different markets. They're going to choose. Everybody has to do each other a favor to schmooze, and they ultimately get in. I think Terrell Owens made a bigger deal out of it because there were a lot of wide receivers out there. I think vote for my guy 1 year, I'll vote for yours. A little bit of politicking going on there too.
It's way too political.
I've been at every time I go to the Super Bowl, I always go to that event and I interact with sports writers. They tell me all this stuff. Do me a favor 1 year, I'll do you.
And to answer you, Denzel, about the whole thing, I say he could blow the Warriors' chances. I even say that there because you know what he is? He's Jordan Poole that didn't get punched. Yeah, I mean, it's just the truth. It's just I'm talking about the give. I'm talking about how much effort you give. I'm talking about remember that. I'm talking about I don't talk about he's a better player than Jordan Poole. Don't get that wrong. What I'm talking about is the effort you give when you get to the playoffs. He gives that exact effort. And they already lost with a guy like Jordan Poole who gave no effort. You do, and do you think Harden ever is going to change his spots this late in his career? You're going to get another game 7. He's going to throw another 7 turnovers. He's going to be another 2 for 15. It's always going to happen because he is overthinking it. If he is trying to win, if he isn't trying to win, he just quits.
Now. Two points to bring up here regarding James Harden. Number one, anytime he was eliminated from the postseason, he was eliminated by a team better than him. If he was in the playoffs and he should have won the series, he won the series. Most of the time, he got knocked out by Golden State, who ended up going to and probably winning the NBA Finals. That's number one. Number two, and this goes for everyone on this panel and everyone at home. If you're going to throw this much shade at James Harden, you better throw equal as much shade at Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah,
don't I? Don't I throw?
Oh yeah. Well, number one, Mike D'Antoni plays defense like it's a foreign language. We know that.
Thank you.
No.
Oh, come on, the word defense doesn't even exist
all the time.
But that's the whole thing, okay? But here's the thing: we all have to understand. Every place that Harden's left, he's left it in bad terms. One way he orchestrated his way out of here, then he out of Houston, then he quit in Brooklyn.
Fat suit. He fat suited his way out.
Hey, Dads, real quick, that question reminds me of Bleacher Report, the show. They had a show called Game of Zones.
Yeah.
And James Harden walks in to D'Antoni's offense. He's like, "Where are the books on defense?" And D'Antoni's like,
I think I saw that one.
"What? Double the offense, defense."
But that's how he operates. I'll put it to you like this, okay? I'll put it to you like this. Mike D'Antoni, at 2 points in time in his career, coached Steve Nash and Kobe Bryant and has 0 titles to show for it.
Yeah.
That should let you everything you need to know about what happened. I said the biggest mistake was the Rockets got rid of Kevin McHale as head coach. Yeah. When Mike D'Antoni cannot coach, I shook my head. I said, "Here we go, here we go." Yeah, and when the Rockets won 65 games and Harden won MVP, I said, "I'm not convinced because D'Antoni can't get us to the next level." And what happened?
But you know what, though, Jen? I'm going to say this. Okay, you ready? Oh. I'm not holding D'Antoni responsible what happened in the Lakers because they've been dysfunctional for a long time and they've been up and down a lot too. So I don't want to really throw him under the bus there. Your other points are valid, okay? But let's face it, when you think of the Lakers being an up and down, okay, they've been a soap opera for a long time. You know, Frank Vogel got run out of town, but he, his championship was in the bubble. But he got hired by Phoenix on a 5-year deal for $31 million. Okay?
And they'll have a better defense now.
Well, sure, but my point is Mike D'Antoni, if you want him there, you don't figure defense, but if it's an exciting team, you want 40 to 50 win years and be able to go out there and put butts in the stands. He's an up-tempo coach. I have nothing against him at all. You know, it's me like an offensive coordinator in the NFL. But the reality is I don't really come down hard on him in L.A. as I would perhaps the other stop you alluded to.
And didn't McHale coach Howard, like really good defense? Pretty good.
Did he coach? Yeah. He was still there when when Howard was there. Go ahead, Jacob. Then we got to go to.
Well, no, and then we'll go on the thing. Yeah, no, but the big to bring that in. You talk about D'Antoni. I give D'Antoni all kinds of hell all the time. I can't. You know very well I don't like him, coach. But just remember what we had for our topic on Wednesday. Remember what we talked about with Wednesday? We were saying, as I said, when the noise stops, the black advancement. We talked about that. Well, guess what? They're already talking about one of the teams getting D'Antoni back.
Oh, no.
And one of the teams that need to get D'Antoni back. And it's like, remember, one of those teams before, when they were doing those, had 7 of 8 black coaches. The only one was Vogel that was hired. Now they're already talking about getting D'Antoni back, which is, it's just Mr. Offense. He's not a defensive guy, but that's just telling you. D'Antoni did not get a job for that time just because they were hiring black coaches to keep the noise down. No. But now that the noise has stopped, here we go again. That's just the point I'm making. It's not honest.
Yeah, no. I agree. You know, and then to round out the topic with the Sixers, and I know Scott, I said if, but my point in that was that year was their best shot. That year was their best shot going to the finals. That's the reason why I said, if not for that shot, the Sixers probably would have won the East. That was their best shot. They haven't had a better shot since.
All right, you know what? I'm going to give you something that nobody on any network on the planet doing this podcasting business will tell you right now. Mike D'Antoni reminds me of Don Coryell of the NFL. He's an athlete.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm just telling. I love
Eric Coryell.
I watch Eric Coryell. And Mike D'Antoni. Everybody needs nicknames, so we'll call Mike Eric Coryell D'Antoni. Okay, sorry, I'm not. No, that's what I'm saying. But it's the truth. Some guys are really valid offensively. So he'll be a highly coveted assistant if he wants to do it. I hear he's got a consultant job in New Orleans, but we'll see what he does. I mean, there was no way. It was hard to imagine him with Daryl Morey again. And I think they made the right hire with Nurse. I really do. I think one of our
Nurse is awesome. I love Nurse.
Yeah, he is. He was there for the taking, but Mike D'Antoni is the equivalent to Eric Coryell.
100% he is.
And you could probably compare Harden to Fouts on that note.
Yeah.
No,
That's true.
I wouldn't compare Harden to anybody. Really? I mean,
I'd say he'd be who's the fighter with that same hairline? For James Harden, it looks like James Harden a little bit. He was the street fighter.
Shoot.
Kimbo. He's Kimbo. He's Kimbo Slice that can't fight.
All right, but you know what? I'll give Harden a comparison that you guys will never think about. I think we're 1-for-1 right now. I would call him Conor McGregor because he's a hype and he's a fraud.
Yeah, but Conor can throw a punch.
I don't care.
at least the mascots.
Well, all right, but Wayne. Now I got me thinking about Wayne Harden. They would call that any Harden you want, but James Harden to me can throw up 3-pointers when they go in. But I think number one. I have no use for a lot of UFC stuff. I doubt I will probably put much on the professor and the pupil because I'm a boxing guy through and through between. But I would say that James Harden is the equivalent to Conor McGregor. He's nothing more than a hype, and he's a fraud. As you can tell, folks, I don't like James Harden.
No, not at all. But we do have to get on.
I'm such a fan.
His whiskey's nice though.
But UFC is the equivalent to cockfighting.
Well, our next topic here, and that is our Basketbros moment in time. 08 Western Conference Playoffs, Round 1, Game 1. Tim Duncan's rare three-pointer in the final seconds of regulation forces overtime. Spurs beat the Suns 117-115 in double overtime. A quick stat line from everybody. Stoudemire actually led He led all Suns scores with 33. Nash had 25. Let's see. Shaquille O'Neal had 11. Nash had 13 dimes. This is a hell of a game. Boris Diaw had 12 off the bench. Barbosa had 12 off the bench. For the Spurs, Tim Duncan had 40. Finley had 13. Parker with 26. And Ginobili had 24 off the bench. But I bring this up because, in the era of the shooting big man, and you see this rare three-pointer from Tim Duncan that sent it to overtime. And I ask, would a moment like this be the catalyst for today's big man? Will, go ahead and start off, man.
I could see it kind of being the catalyst. It's crazy because Shaq was in foul trouble late in the game. Sotomayor fouled out with 12 seconds left in OT. Duncan was a career horrendous 18% from three, and it was his only three of the game. But yeah, it's crazy. Like Ginobili was covered. Parker was probably covered. Bowen, was Bowen on that team?
No, let me see. Was
Bowen could have been gone.
Yes, he was. He
Bowen
didn't score
was
at all.
probably covered. Yeah, last resort. Why not? Yeah, I could see it being the catalyst. But yeah, he wasn't really known as a 3-point shooter, so I don't know. But yeah, it hurt my feelings. It's sad because those Phoenix teams, man, they ran into the Lakers, the Spurs, the Nuggets. They ran into like really good Lakers and Spurs teams. They just couldn't get to the final. So I knew the Spurs were really good, but knowing me when I was like, let's see, how old was I? I was 13, 14. I was going for the Suns. When I was a kid, still am, but especially.
Hey, sorry, Will. We got about 1 more minute because we gotta wrap up in 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Go ahead, guys.
Jacob, go ahead.
Yeah. I think about the first thing I want to think about with something like that is you hear the name Shaq, and you think, well, what if Shaq was in his prime? But then you also think one more thing out of that. Tim Duncan gave prime Shaq all kinds of hell too. Yes. So I don't think that would really matter. But you know something? This is the thing. It's like if it was today's game, Tim Duncan would be about a 35% 3-point shooter because he'd be practicing all the time. and he had phenomenal post moves. So
Yes,
you'd be
he did.
combining that. He probably his stats would be unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, what about you?
All I can say is I would gag if Tim Duncan were in today's NBA. So let's leave it back there when the league was worth watching. And sorry, Tyler, I can't ease off the UFC. I'm a pure boxing guy. I have a photograph with Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, and I don't want one with Conor McGregor. So take it for what it's worth.
I
Sorry,
like
pal.
both.
I don't chill out when it comes to UFC, but I certainly understand your passion for it. And I once got a photo at the Super Bowl with Chuck Liddell, so it's not all bad, just mostly bad for fighters that only go 3 to 4 rounds versus those that don't go 12, 15.
Everyone's got their preferences, I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, back to the basketball moment, it was something, and this was, of course, during the Spurs dynasty, and it's like, wow, just when you think you have seen it all from the Spurs, you see him and he pulls off this jumper, but it's just crazy how, like, at that time period, the NBA, and they hadn't even fully, transitioned. This is kind of like a what the hell moment. Nowadays, you see a center shoot a three, like you see Giannis or Embiid do. It's like, okay, and Jokic kind of has that over the kind of weird shot, But you see it now when it's more common, but like back then it was like, wow, we really did not expect it. I expected Parker to make that shot. I expected Ginobili to make that shot or whatever. But Duncan, like, what's Duncan doing behind the arc anyway? Oh, he's shooting it. Wham, he makes it. So, but no, definitely a great basketball moment, and definitely a moment that adds on to his legacy. With that being said, we are out of time, folks. Thanks to everybody who tuned in to Basketball. Shout out to Tyler Ingram in the comments. Hold on, he's got one more for us. He said no hard feelings, Scott. He likes both.
He
Hey,
also
you know
has
what,
no
Tyler? I have
comments.
no hard feelings for you. Anybody that comes off as intelligent is all right in my book. And you know what, Tyler? We do agree baseball is number one. So nothing against you, Tyler. I enjoy the interaction with you, but baseball is numero uno with me.
Hey, y'all agree on that one, But thanks to everybody tuning in. Jacob, pretty sure you're a busy man. Y'all know where to find him. Will, he just be, chilling out, and he comes on the shows every week whenever he does. And Scott, of course, is playing captain like he always does. And I'm Denzel Snipes, and we will see you all in 7 days for Basketbros. Later.
Later.